lesbian feminist propaganda tells women that marriage is men's patriarchal oppression to keep them prisoners at home, and that they would be much freer stuck in cubicles working for uncaring companies and cold managers in suits. And get this, women buy this lie, so they reject the men who wanted them in their youth as they throw away their fertility and most beautiful years in favour of sending menial emails in an office. And then fast forward a few decades after she's said no to countless nice men and yes to many bad ones, and after holding out for Brad Pitt until she's 40, a woman realises that her so-called freedom in a cubicle was nothing but lonely work, and Brad Pitt isn't coming. She's alone. So what does a middle-aged feminist woman do when the show's over? When no one's playing dollhouse with grandma anymore? Well, she marries herself, because no man will. Read or watch anything politically correct in society, in other words, incorrect, and you're marketed the same nervous nagging mantra. The world apparently is spilling over with these wonderful single feminists.
What is wrong with men? All these successful, gorgeous, amazing and stunning women out there that men just ignore. Why can't they see these women who beam like the sun? Why are men ignoring these atomic bombs of sexy, amazing, perfect women for marriage? It's really odd.
It's so worn through repetition now, like an alcoholic complaining about their situation. Romantically speaking, most men who've decided to go their own way get there when they finally come to terms with reality and stop believing in unicorns. But women, they delude themselves right to their deathbeds. Cyndi Lauper's hit song, Girls Just Want to Have Fun, sums up most women pretty well. They're never going to take responsibility. Ever. And let's get one thing straight. I don't hate women. I don't resent a woman who doesn't want to have kids or who spends life sport fucking and never settling down or is not traditional. I respect any independent person who owns their decisions in life. And look, I also get the impulse of where older women were coming from back when they were once fertile and sexy with their
"we don't need no man"
fist-pumping rebelliousness of feminism. I get it. It was a statement of freedom. They didn't want to cash in their goods too soon and wanted to enjoy their youthful freedom for as long as possible. I get it. I do. But if you want to settle down and create a traditional family, you have a small window in which to make the choice, girls. Especially since your dream of happily ever after requires another person to think you're special enough to negate all other women for, just for you, and to spend the rest of his life working for you and your dream of family. This is a big, big ask of men that women, amazingly, think nothing of, just expecting it to happen continually until they die, regardless of how unattractive their bodies or attitudes become. Just as the young think they'll live forever, women are forever young mentally in this respect too, and childishly expect to be wanted forever.
Men are horny dogs. They'll be hungry for me when I'm 50.
Yeah, sure, Roseanne. A man will want to pick and eat fruit only when it's right for picking and eating. He doesn't look at old rotten apples on the ground that have long ago fallen. You wouldn't pick these apples either, ladies. Most women's narcissism has them believing in advertising that they're so worth it. You see, they literally have to believe this garbage the longer they've been lazy and have let their fertility go. They can't face this personal responsibility, so women lie to themselves. We now see older women confidently giving one last kick at the old can, spreading their beefy wizard sleeves to young men, and then bragging about it like they're reliving their wasted 20s and matching it with their 20-year-old daughters. I've dated single mums like this that confidently say to me,
"People always think me and my daughter are sisters."
This is fucking sad. Your 20s are over. This propensity for every woman to think themselves a grand exception to gravity and time is testament to the danger of what you're potentially handing your life over to, gentlemen. Don't do it. Look, as an analogy, I too only have a small window in which to pursue a goal of competing in the Olympics, but it's over now, and I accept it. So too, women only have a small window to have healthy babies and functional families for those babies if they want it. Nature doesn't care if you want it at midlife or older. Nature is ambivalent about your feelings. And at this feminist point in history, I fucking am too. Look, I think we can fairly and rationally observe a man's sexual taste for a particular age of woman by his spending habits in sex. In a study of LOVEHONEY, UK's biggest online sex retailer, by data journalist John MILLWARD, he observed that men's favourite sex toy they purchase for themselves today as a female substitute, the fleshlight, revealed that men overwhelmingly still desire to fuck even a young female's artificial vagina over an old artificial one, despite what sexually irrelevant old feminists will tell you. 50 is not the new 20. When one can choose quality, one doesn't select mutton. Logic would tell you that people in general would rather choose a better option if that option is available to them. Just like COLTTAINE's recent video about media consumption, linked below, illustrates women's actual predilections despite what bullshit they feed everyone to save face. Hello, 50 Shades of Grey. So too does this humble study illustrate men's private sexual choice when no one's looking. That is, reality and honesty. This study should paint a very clear and unavoidable picture that a huge 81% of men would rather fuck the impotent consolation prize of a latex tube that they have to then work their imaginations to convince is a hot young woman snatch. And then the remaining 19% are fetish outliers. Sure, there's getting freaky with it, but then the 19% here are just freaks. Hey, there's a small sex market for donkeys and jelly too. Wake up, girls. Men don't want to fuck old. Okay, just to get it through, here's another pie chart showing the men who purchase sex dolls that look like your mum or grandma, ladies. Let me get out my calculator to verify these numbers. To men, the older you are, ladies, the more necrophilic fucking you seems to us. And sure, a young guy will take the leftovers of a single mum or a hot grandma when there's nothing better around for temporary fun, but when he wants a serious relationship or, God forbid, family, old is biologically impractical and, frankly, socially embarrassing to a man. And so, what do old feminists do now who have invested their whole lives into the delusion that
I'm so worth it and no man is?
As an aside, have you ever thought about what the effect of women believing they're so worth it, as the feminist sloganeering goes, has on their perception of others? Precisely. It fosters the opinion that she is better than others, most notably men. So back to the video's topic. What do old feminists do now when they're invisible to men, sexually speaking? Well, they manufacture a scenario where they are worth it, even more than before. Because they have to. If self-delusions were alcohol, women would virtually all have liver failure by the age of 40. The old demented narcissist starts doing what she did when she was a child, when she had an imaginary friend. Instead, she now makes up an imaginary husband. A growing and pathetic trend in the West now is that women are marrying themselves. And not just any women, older women. Because let's face it, young women don't need to. They're still in their window of real-life marriage opportunities, with real-life men. But the older clubber career chick, not her. She's marrying herself because even horny men aren't insane enough to do it. And that's saying a lot. This growing trend even has a legitimate name. Sologamy. The Global News interviewed one of these conceited old feminists which no man would marry, and she says,
I'm completely fulfilled. All the other boxes in my life have been checked, but now I want to be a bride.
Her demand is telling. I want to be a bride? Who cares that one cannot be it without another person? No, these morons will just demand we accept their fiction. By her logic, I'll be able to say, no, I'm not masturbating, I'm having sex with myself, and demand everyone take me seriously. Gynocentrism is changing words and their meaning so often so as to make words mean almost nothing today. She continues,
Sologamy is the act of marrying oneself, and the growing relationship trend has seen more and more women in the UK, Australia, Japan, Taiwan, and the US walk down the aisle by themselves to give themselves away to themselves.
What?
A 2003 episode of Sex and the City was one of the first introductions to the idea when the show's main character mused about marrying herself.
Yeah, see, women will lie and tell you that Sex and the City was all just fun and entertainment and not serious at all. But women took that fictitious series where 4 old, used menopausal broads were being pursued by the sexiest and wealthiest men in New York. They took it pretty seriously. Sure, it never influenced your ethics, ladies. Take a look what we're reading in the papers these days. Sure. Continuing the article, Alexandra Gill of the company Marry Yourself Vancouver said,
"By marrying themselves, women can celebrate their independence."
This is why most women shouldn't even vote without an IQ test, at the very least. Marriage isn't independence. It's codependence by definition, you fucking idiots. But no. Just like Marxists, gynocentrists will tell you openly, we don't like the facts, so the facts must be wrong, comrades.
Years ago, we would have been seen as desperate women, but it's not like that anymore.
Says you.
There is no desperation in this.
Yes, there is.
It's all about empowerment.
No, it's not.
I'll be happy to be Mrs. Bordeaux for the rest of my life. I see it as an act of feminism.
And there you go. Hey, at least she's one of the few that admits she's a feminist. Good for you. I'm sure your feminist therapist high-fives your decision too.
Self-marriage gently pokes fun at a dying institution and the overwrought pretensions of modern bridal culture while allowing women to indulge their childhood fantasies and be a princess for a day, Gill says on her website.
So you make fun of traditionalism, but desperately want a traditional title. You are fucking idiots. And still people wonder why men are going their own way and doing their own thing.
Essentially, you can have your wedding cake and eat it too.
Yeah, keep eating, lady. Okay. The Daily Wire spoke a little more rationally on the subject as it wrote, quote, apparently people are now marrying themselves. Well, more specifically, sad, bitter feminists with a millennial-like flair for narcissism are marrying themselves after sticking it to the patriarchy by choosing to put their careers ahead of their personal lives. Self-styled sologamous feminist Erica Anderson said,
I would describe it as women saying yes to themselves. It means that we are enough, and if we are not partnered with someone else, you're worth it.
Ah, that desperate, empty and valueless slogan again. Fuck. Patting yourselves on the back again for being women. Believing that you are enough is one thing. That relatively healthy notion that the centre of your happiness and contentment stems from your own self-esteem is something I personally advocate. That's cool, but throwing an ostentatious party, needing a narcissistic ceremony where you are the princess, force-feeding everyone your delusions. We continue with the article, quote, a site looking to make a few bucks on sad feminists called IMarriedMe.com offers a kit to assist you in planning your own wedding ceremony, self-wedding rings and daily self-affirmation cards.
A self-wedding is a symbolic ceremony about reconnecting and staying connected with you. Wear the ring to remind you every day to love yourself,
says the site, unquote. Reminding yourself to love yourself? So your hypergamous instincts don't lead you to stray, hey ladies? We continue, quote, promoting their daily traffic cards, the site reads, did you know that micro moments of positivity add up, creating an upward spiral? Positive mental states can also be enhanced by affirmations and can reshape us over time. A daily practice can help you focus on the good and give you resources when life is tough. The higher end I Married Myself Wedding in a Box kit costs $230. Unquote. Yeah, keep working your careers to pay for this shit, ladies. Good stuff. And they laugh at guys wanting sex dolls. At least guys are paying for an actual thing. Women are paying for nothing. She said even though she's married to herself, she's dating and open to marrying another person. So let me get this straight. You don't need a man, and to show everyone you've married yourself as proof, and you say you're committed to yourself, but you're still dating other men. Jesus, you women even monkey branch yourselves. Keep working your cubicle jobs, ladies. Therapy isn't cheap. So moving on to the next article, probably one of the most juvenile articles on this sologamy trend is Cosmopolitan magazine. Yeah, I know, Cosmo speaks to young women, human, relax. But here's the issue. They are shaping young minds on very serious life issues, young, at an early stage. Remember, it's the youth that were brainwashed with feminist propaganda while fertile. These girls are too late to rescue after office jobs have used them up. So saying, let them be during their young formative years, I'd contend, is an irrecoverable mistake. This is how Cosmopolitan magazine shapes young women's minds. It writes,
Sologamy is now a growing trend for single ladies. Grace Gelder, the girl behind the TEDx talk Adventures in Self-Marriage, explains. Grace has jumped aboard the propose to yourself train, saying that marriage was the most accurate way to symbolise the kind of agreements that I wanted to make to myself. When you think about it, it does kind of make sense.
No, it doesn't. Actually, what it does reveal to me when I look at your statement, Miss Gelder, is that it is a commitment women try to make to themselves at the end of the day, not to the man when they actually are on the altar with another man. Her I do promises on that altar with him are nothing more than hope on her part. If this little reveal from Miss Gelder is anything to go by.
Promising to love yourself in sickness and health, for richer or poorer, till death is actually a damn good mantra.
If you're marrying yourself, no it isn't, you idiot. You won't leave yourself if you fail or don't commit. But for women, in essence, it's their perfect partner, someone who can't leave them, regardless of how you look or how you act or how lazy or awful you are. By women marrying themselves, they can be the shittiest person alive, and your partner will never leave. It's a mental sham. Actually, respect for oneself is good mental health, good self-esteem, something that comes authentically from inside, and not via this external validation of bullshit sologamy, not via this ego spectacle, via a huge narcissistic
look at me, aren't I special?
Fucking ceremony where you dress up as a princess and everyone pretends it's complete. It'd be nice with a man there, sure, but let's not quibble on rational details. Princess might have a breakdown. This is not healthy. And rational people are correct to ridicule this feminist infantilization of women. This is digging women into deeper holes of future depression.
So seeing sologamy as a self-loving thing rather than an I don't need a man political statement makes it seem like a pretty dope promise to yourself.
Yeah, dope. You go, you sick bitch. Word. And then there's SBS Media here in my hometown of Melbourne that writes,
it takes a lot of effort to find the right person and clinch the deal with the big question.
Yeah, it does. A lot of healthy social skills and awareness.
But some people are choosing to ditch the search and instead focus inwards.
And the future looks good for cats. Oh, the therapy bills to come, ladies. This is one of my biggest irritations with gynocentrism, feminism and politics in general. They use sophistry unashamedly against weak-minded people for their own ends. Searching inward for meaning and authentic self-esteem is a very different spiritual concept and a lot harder and deeper to accomplish, I'd say, than being a princess for a day and buying yourself a ring. It's a completely internal validation. Sologamy, by contrast, is a completely egocentric, externally validating ceremony. Only delusional narcissistic women would take this seriously.
Amber Renee, a 30-something Sydney-sider, is one of those people who has stopped waiting for someone to come along and ask for her hand in marriage. She has asked herself. I'd spent my entire life believing I was incomplete and that one day love would come along and that would complete me, Renee says. I thought a lot of these things that most of us think but don't say out loud, that I wasn't worthy or capable of love.
I still don't think you are capable, Renee. Not capable of loving another person anyway. You're far too conceited.
I spent months and months doing internal self-discovery and transformation, and one day I realised that everything I was looking for in a partner, worthiness, love, happiness and self-confidence, was already within me.
So after all your so-called internal self-discovery and transformation, you still come back to the external ceremony to validate you, with an external ring to validate you. You don't love yourself, Renee, because you still visualize yourself as another person to marry and be happy with. This is something collectivists, which I've spoken about often, miss. When you believe in yourself calmly and authentically, all externalities are neutral at best. You're free, unlike Renee here.
This light bulb moment Renee felt needed to be marked, so she did so by proposing to herself. It's a commitment to say I'm going to show up for myself every day, put myself first and honour myself. For someone who has, in the past, hated herself, it's a big deal to say that I deeply love and respect myself.
I doubt you ever put yourself second to others, Renee. You sound far too conceited. The fake "I hated myself" speech from Barbie dolls like you who spend their lives treating others like shit. I mean, look at her. She's a nightmare dressed as a daydream. These high-maintenance daddy's girls, like Renee, are anything but self-haters. They think they're better than everyone else and cannot sustain lifelong or deep female relationships, let alone adult intimate relationships. They are entitled old princesses.
Renee says one of the big questions she's asked is whether she's still open to other relationships. The answer is yes.
Ooh, big surprise, Renee. Look at her again. I never would have guessed that even though she's now married, that she's still open to cheating on herself.
With some caveats, I'm now really clear on how I view relationships and what I'm willing to put up with. If a man comes into my life and isn't treating me as well as I treat myself, then they don't deserve to be in my life.
This is the whole Marilyn Monroe entitled mentality bullshit. If you can't handle me at my worst, you don't deserve me at my best. Sologamy is just the latest self-help placebo to deter women from facing their shitty past choices. Okay, so finally, I'd just like to reiterate, have a family or don't. Do whatever you wish. I respect a married man's choice if he owns it and likes his lifestyle and is happy. We are all responsible for the choices we make today, and specifically the choices relating to nature and time. I'd suggest trust your honest and internally quiet instincts. You know, the voice or feeling inside that sounds like your best friend giving you sober advice. Trust those feelings with important concepts like kids and marriage and family if you want them. Trust them first over your youthful, egotistical, irrational, arrogant, fist-pumping, live fast, die young, live forever feminist feelings. Because tomorrow arrives, girls. Whether you screw your face up or not, you have no choice. You'll eat it whether you want it or not. So better to eat it when it tastes good, when you're younger. I would suggest, and this is just my personal perspective, but what helps me realize whether I'm being honest with my life is whether the life I'm living right now is successful and happy to me. Not what I want to be in my future or when I retire or earn a fortune down the road, but now. If you can unequivocally say that the life you live now is the life you'd be happy living 20 years from now, then that's a really good recipe for sanity and little regrets. But if you're like young women who say,
yeah, up ahead someday I'll be sensible, but I'll mainline speed and rodeo Chadcock until I look like Courtney Love, then I'll settle down with Prince Charming.
Then, sweetheart, I have little sympathy for you because you obviously have none for yourself, so why the fuck should I? So basically, ladies, men stop chasing you in their 30s and, you realise they are, and that's when you start getting baby rabies because the gig's up. Yeah, then. That's when women bullshit to the world and use every innocent platitude to get what they can.
Oh, I desperately always wanted to be married, but just never found the right guy. Fate just thrust me onto bad boy cock over and over again. Life just rains down these arseholes onto us pure women. Boo-hoo.
Whatever. Go your own way, ladies, because we have. We've had enough of dealing with adult infants. It's over. You're over, in a traditional sense. You might get fucked, but that's it. Marry yourselves for all we care and enjoy the couples therapy while you're married with yourself too. You reap what you sow. All of us. We have no choice. Later. Feel free to share, like, comment, subscribe and donate. And don't forget to hit the bell icon once you've subscribed to be notified of my next video. Thanks.